has said fireworks are not good for children, adults, and animals because of the loud, unexpected, and unexplained loud noise. The noise is very hard on the adrenals, so we're going to get a chance to vote against fireworks tomorrow. So,
That's up to you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah. I did get a letter from the State Department of Economic and Community Development, which talked about tech industries. As you know, there are new boilers put in recently, the one we lent them the money for, the grant actually, $300,000. That is complete, and they, according to the letter, the town and the company agreed to create 10 full-time jobs, at least 6 of them being low and moderate income individuals. And the departments reviewed the benefit data sheets and income verification for 12 employees, and 9 of them are declared low and moderate income households. So they've exceeded the requirements, and the department goes on to say how pleased they are with the project. So you should know that. Came out better than expected, if anything. I did, at the last meeting, there was some comment about Article 5, which is the warrant on the ballot for as question number 4, the recall ordinance amendment, and the comment was that we should explain the deletion, which I've done in this notice, try to keep it non-persuasive, but I explained that the deletion is the 2/3 requirement, and I also added the explanation that the additional material in 2 was because there was no previous minimum required number of voters. So I posted this around town, the same place I posted the warrant, made it generally available. I don't know how else to get out. The newspaper did a good job explaining the thing on the front page of the Canada Journal. I also had to fill out a form recently for the municipal tax levy limit. You remember LD1 that passed about 3 or 4 years ago, where the towns are limited to the growth of its budget by the property growth factor combined with the income growth factor. For example, this past year, 2011, which is for this current fiscal year, the income growth factor was set by the state as 1.6%. 1.5% essentially, and the growth factor of the town, which is new value property, new houses, as Dave was talking about, was 0.0194%, which is almost 2%. So the town could have spent 3.6%, 3.5% addition budget, but we did not. The municipal budget actually, in total, that went down by for $108,577 under the limit. So the limit they set, I think, was there were a couple of years back in the early 2000s where people were doing lots of capital work apparently, and it seems like it's pretty well leveled off statewide. Still have to fill out these forms every year.
And people should be aware, Chris, we don't get to carry that $100,000 forward. It's a whole new ballgame next year.
Well, we don't get to spend the money because it's our money in the first place, but it would add to the ability of the town to spend the money, but we're not going to because that's not our intentions, obviously. I also wanted to tell you that Thanksgiving is a Thursday, and then Friday is a holiday. And our office is closed on Friday, period, so the employees are entitled to a holiday. Dave and I get a holiday off because we didn't know the work, but the rest of the employees do not, so we have to give them, either pay them for that Friday or give them some overtime. I don't think we want to close Wednesday as well as Thursday, for Monday, but I wanted to ask you what you prefer to pay them or try to offer them additional time off some other way. We're trying to be fair to employees. Last year we paid them, and I don't mind paying them. I don't want to do that without your understanding that's the process.
Do we have room in the budget for it?
Well, small amount of money, but
How much are we talking?
gee, I don't know. It's actually cap on my head, so a few $100. It's one
Well,
day,
I mean,
it's one day
could we
payment.
give them a choice if they'd rather have compensatory time off?
What do you
Or
think,
pay?
Doris? Does that work?
Yeah.
You
I
give
mean,
them a
I
choice,
think,
with the day off or.
And some people might like the time off,
Yeah, there's, we're only talking 3 people, but.
as long as they don't take all
It's
the
important that we
months.
treat them fairly because they don't get the holiday allowance.
Yeah.
I agree that, you know, if you offer the, and they all kind of have to be in agreement on it though, because in my mind, to keep the office open, you still, like if one person has Wednesday off and 2 people have Monday off, if you can do that,
Yeah.
right?
Right,
And if they want to do that, that's great, if they don't.
have to all kind of mutual.
well, we
Right,
might be able to do something like that. I mean, that's what we're doing for Veterans Day.
Right, but if somebody doesn't want to do that, it could be paid, rather than,
Okay.
not
as
do
far as I'm
I don't want to
concerned,
force people to take option of that.
as far as I'm concerned, that's something that you and staff should reach a consensus on.
The only other thing I want to tell you is remind you that Tuesday is election, 8 a.m., 8 p.m., and absentee ballots are available now, but they're only available through tomorrow, after an emergency. So vote early, avoid the lines. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, the next thing is on the agenda is the public comments. No public comments. Next is the county hazard mitigation plan.
Mr. Chairman, this is a countywide, basically it's a flood policy, plan. This state representative explained to me, this is there's a map that goes with that shows you the areas full of some flooding. Flood insurance is the basic underlying factor here. Did you get that? Okay. They require to approve a resolution for adopting their plan, which is like 100 pages. So we can cut the 100 pages for you. There are a few areas where we're affected, and there's a list of like 7 projects that Herb could actually undertake, but they're all small projects. The state would then, if we adopt a plan, would be eligible for assistance, financial assistance from the federal government. This is all related to flood insurance. And we had the dam blew off, for example. There was one years ago in North Monmouth, right, that blew out.
Yeah.
Structural damage was done to mostly to the roads and that sort of thing, but there was reimbursement for it. I believe. Yes.
Public comment? Yeah. Sure. It went down to my parents' property at the time, and certainly at 1,300 feet of the road.
Took the culvert out, yes, right.
Took the culvert out, took the stone bridge also out on the property. I've addressed the matter of fact, federally, recently in the last 2 weeks. There was a review sent to me about it, and I have addressed whether they're going to look into some compensation or whether the town will be notified appropriately in regards to myself as a landowner at this time. There's significant damage on the property, but it was wide, rushing for days, and certainly there were some historic things that certainly could have been preserved on the property, such as stone bridge that was old on the property. Couldn't be reused, but certainly it gave me a grandfathering of giving the bridge over to the other 7 acres of property that I own on the other side of it. So I didn't know the reconstruction effort of that for us to be able to utilize the other side of the property because it's landlocked at this time. So there has been a right submitted to the federal side of FEMA, actually. And so if the town hears something in regards to that, it's my generation that occurred. So the town may hear something of that.
So the state has a list of mitigation projects which they will fund, as well as efforts they can make to prevent flooding. We have to adopt this plan in order to be eligible for flood insurance as well as disaster relief. These kinds of things we'd be happy to talk to them about if we get a chance to
The town of Monmouth has some limited liability to it, and that, I'd say 800 feet of it is in the township of Woodford. It has to be a mutual supported thing between Woodford and Monmouth. And 400 feet of it would be something that Monmouth would do anything on the topographical maps and what the land is.
This is recommended to approve it.
I move we approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. Well, next on the agenda is the videotape recorder.
Chairman, I've got a sample here that Lori got me, and it was pretty good to me. A camcorder, this is a 120 gig handheld camera. We installed it up on the corner by the pictures somewhere, one corner of the building, of the room. This room has really good acoustics, from what I've seen for the camera over there that's tape recording now, has good sound effects, you know, but we would do whatever it takes, but we think this camera would be quite sufficient at $599. We're going to spend $1,000 obviously for this project, but this would allow us to proceed. We could put this on the available on the website. People can download it.
How, if it was up there, what would we, could we work it remotely?
They could put it on a shelf that I could reach up and then turn on and off at the meeting start. You know, that would, so it wouldn't be in the way of people, you know, thinking people's back of people's heads. We find a place where we can get a good picture. And, shouldn't have to put it up there permanently. We have to be able to secure it after the meeting.
That's actually a good idea to have it available to be used,
Other meetings.
well, other meetings, other places as well, you know, fire department, public works, maybe of use to them in training or in recording improvements or even problems.
Yeah.
So I think it's, as we get more into this, whoops.
They'll come back up.
But it would be,
Alice, about that?
Now, just have to cool before they go back.
it's funny that the lights up here.
They did, they might.
Oh, did they want? So anyway, I think it's gonna be a good tool, you know, have more usage than originally we thought about.
Yeah.
I would recommend that we authorize the expenditure.
I'll second that.
Those in favor? Thank you.
Be aware though, Curtis, that you will need some video editing software to be able to
Yes. Yes, right.
get the files off and compress them properly,
Yeah.
so they won't be too large to put on the internet.
Good.
Will they be stored somewhere other than,
Excuse me?
will they be stored?
I'm not sure, but I'll figure something out.
Well, it does take this camera does take chips,
Yeah.
so we could conceivably put meetings on chips and lock them in the vault.
Right.
Just
Exactly.
develop a procedure for it.
Yeah, backup, right, exactly.
Is that expensive?
The chips cost $10 a piece maybe, and then you probably fit 3 meetings on them.
The next thing is the Cockwagon Dam Emergency Action Plan, an update.
Mr. Chairman, this is an update of the, this is because this dam unit was 1902 or something like that, was prior was built, and is holding back the lake that could flood the downtown. So it's required as a, by the state, is a significant risk because of the structures and population in the downtown area. The stream goes down through, crosses 132, the railroad tracks, and the Maple Street, goes down towards Woodford. Lori's put most of this together, so I invited her to lead you through this, if you've seen the doc.
I don't know a copy of it,
But
I think I know what they are.
It's got a flow chart in the beginning, which is the, one of the key things here, because we'll test this next week. We'll you'll call the dispatcher or the dispatcher, and the dispatcher calls and sets a tree. You know, the tree that, they'll call the police chief, he'll start calling other people, they'll call me, I'll call you know, so it's basically a tree, flow chart. We want to get a call eventually. There's an emergency plan if you have to move people out of the area. People on Maple Street, for example, could be flooded out of houses, they'd have to go somewhere. And the fire chief put together a list of where they go, and so we direct people in a certain direction, and then we try to cross this raging stream. It could be. This dam, as you know, it's a small dam, but there's a lot of water involved. That whole lake is held back. It's about 6 feet high, and so it's holding back a lot of water at some points of the year, right? And it's a 20-foot or so of concrete, there's a 2-foot grate that holds the water back, and you can move it up and down with the water in and out. It's a really unlikely that it's going to break, but it is, in that event of disaster, it could be a real disaster for downtown. This plan has been put together so that middle of the night, or someone calls 911, says there's water downtown across the Main Street, they'll start to call people, and there'll be a quick response. And all the information is in the plan, and I'll start reading in the dark. There are maps and a list of all the residents who have to be notified if there were a real disaster, and phone numbers for all those people. There's some pictures in there. I took some pictures in there. They illustrate the dam on site. But it's, like I say, it's very likely, but in an unlikely event, it would be important to have everyone prepared. So there'll be a test within a few days to see if this works. Tomorrow.
Tomorrow at 4:30.
So what we need you to do is vote to approve the plan so we can give that to the state, because they've been anxious for it. But
Should we approve it before the test?
yes, we need to approve it now. We'll do the test tomorrow.
Yeah, they said we can test it at any time, sooner than later, but they really need the plan in their office.
I'll move we approve.
Second. All in favor? Thank you.
In this interaction with the FEMA report that I submitted, there was questions of observations of other dams or inspections that the state, in the way of hired or observations by citizens that inspectors have gone around to the various dams in your community. I have made some observations myself in regards to the North Monmouth Dam and Wilson Pond. There's a dam over there on the little inlet. There's a little parking spot over there in North Monmouth, right off of Wilson Pond Road off to the right.
We're not required to have a plan for that.
Right. Well, there is a matter where it's someone had asked, specifically my observations of it, and I stated that there was some spray paint that occurred by some citizen. Of course, when these high waters rise, septic tanks float, water is in their wells, or, well, they boil it, things like this, and a citizen had taken a can of spray paint. I informed the authorities about this at a particular time because there was a picture of a figurine with a gun pointing at it, open up the dam or else. And that figurine showing a kind of threatening nature, I came to the police department and I spoke to one of the officers and said, hey, you know, somebody's upset over in North Monmouth at the dam because someone's not opening the dam and lowering the water. So I made a comment about it. Hasn't been anything said or done, I'm sure, but the authorities were notified that it just doesn't matter of public safety. Someone was really ugly to write in spray paint and say, or else, and show a figurine pointing at another. Whoever is in control of these dams or inspecting them may have not been doing their job or opening the dam, and someone's upset over there about what's going on. So I bring that to attention in regards to inspection. There are state inspections and there's monies coming from the federal government for the inspectors to do their jobs. Now, Mr. McGonigal, which I didn't mention in the report at all, he has been, I've attended meetings with your wife and yourself over in Wayne at some of the, he's dealing with the Wayne meetings, and they spoke about the dams and about some of the ecological things. So certainly, there's an interest in what's going on with the dams and stuff by other townships like Wayne.
The watershed district you're talking about,
Yeah, the
you
water.
advise us on letting water out of the dams in the article. You have multiple dams. This is the only one that requires a plan.
I didn't know that there's inspection of dams, and they're gonna bring monies for inspectors, or who's gonna be designated, Mr. McDonald, or who the local person would be, a individual to do that inspection in town, maybe give an appointment or something, and when to do that all through. So my public comment.
Thank you. Kurt?
Yeah, I think we all owe Laurie Walker a big thank you. She did 95% of light work for this. She hasn't been booked from us, but she did a lot of hard work on it. Very nice job.
Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Laura.
Well, that's game, I'm just done.
We got to vote on this.
You didn't vote on this yet.
Second call for vote.
Oh, we voted on it, okay.
You voted to.
What?
So you even voted to.
I know.
Election of.
Oh, good lights. Anyway. Next thing on the agenda are signs for private roads.
This is here because Andrew was asked to do some research on the subject.
This is just a memo I put together. You guys can, when you're bored, you can read it later, but at the last board meeting, there was a question by, I think, Mr. Phillips, whether it would be prudent to change all the private road signs to a different color, to make it easier for first responders to be able to find private roads. And spent a couple weeks doing some research. I either talked to the other public safety directors or emailed them and got some feedback. But basically, the road signage program that's presently in effect was put in about 2 decades ago. We had to name all the camp roads in order to operate with the 911 system. And at the time, Herb's crew went around and did a lot of work putting in all the signs and putting them in the right location. Since then, the police chief was good enough to go around and double check all those signs, and he came up with a small list of some that are missing, or actual roads where there's a sign, but the road's not there anymore. It's actually, the road's all grown in. But in the short of it, everybody felt that, number one, the cost of doing this project would be a little over $8,000 in both material and labor, and there'd be very little benefit from it. There's a process of how to identify these roads already that everybody was comfortable with. Most of the signage is there. I think you only found 3 or 4 that were missing, so we'll address those, and there'd be very little benefit from it. One of the biggest things that came out of this, though, and everybody commented on, was getting people to number their houses and their mailboxes. And this is from the assistant rescue chief, and it was an email he sent me back. He says, I haven't noticed a problem with finding roads, just a lot of problems, especially recently, with unmarked houses or mailboxes, and the mailbox is marked on only one side. I would love to see some form of enforcement or education of the public in the town to clearly identify their houses. And I think that's exactly what everybody felt. The problem isn't so much the color of the signs, getting people to put their numbers on their homes and their mailboxes. By the way, there's 184 named roads or streets or lanes in town, and 2/3 of them are private. The vast majority of them are private roads. So in our opinion, kind of a good idea, but it's a very expensive idea. How do we get people to put their numbers up? I don't know. I mean, sending out the numbering police probably isn't the right idea. It's more of an educational thing. Try to tell people. It's like mailboxes, put them on both sides. They put it on the side for the rural carrier, but they may not be the correct side when we're responding, type of thing. And there is an ordinance that Dave has. It's supposed to be a certain size. It's supposed to be in the front of your house. But again, it's difficult to get people to put these things where you can see them and keep it up. So it's more of an encouragement or an educational thing to the public.
It's $5 a day fine, once notified.
Yeah, I don't
have a sign.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
How do you do that?
You know, in our business, if it's a fire call, it's pretty easy to find. The rescue, I think, is the hardest one. I mean, they get a call and people won't come out and meet the rescue because they're in with their loved ones.
You'd be better off to give people free letters for the mailbox and know how to find them. I mean, you're better off to pay the money, buy the letters,
And do it
offer
yourself.
them to people for free. It'd be better, you'd have goodwill, and you wouldn't have the legal expense. Because one legal case will tie you up.
Well, the other thing too, maybe would be to develop an informational handout that explains the benefits of having the numbering clearly visible. Especially, for EMS especially. There's some of your loved ones having a heart attack and the person that's driving the rescue unit doesn't necessarily know where your house is, might make that critical bit of difference. Same with PD. So maybe if we developed an informational handout and when someone comes in to pay their taxes or whatever, you just clean that up.
Yeah. Most people don't think about the rescue not doing a fine because they don't mean anything harmful when they mark one sign.
The other thing that came out of all this was the process
that
of,
we've been giving it out, excuse me.
Yeah, there's a stack of them over at Julie, and
Huh?
there's a stack of them at the library. She hands them out, doesn't do anything.
Okay. Well, if you're already handing them out, then that's great.
the only other thing that came out of this report was maybe a different process when they name a road. To get, right now what happens is we get the name of the new road as public safety people, and possibly doing some kind of sign off, that when a new road name's a sign, we all can sign off on it. There's been some challenges at times about roads. People want to name roads to family members and stuff like that, and sometimes it conflicts with other roads that are in town. Again, it's a procedural thing, it's a recommendation, but it would put more bureaucracy in naming a road. That may not be a bad thing in this case.
Do you do anything different in other towns?
Yeah, some of them, they do put colored signs up, or they put a little sign that says private way, or stuff like that.
Well, I mean, what are they doing in other towns to try to get people to put their house numbers up?
Same problem I have, same issue.
It's probably
Some
the same.
people have used, like the scouts, Boy Scouts and stuff like that. One thing we thought about the fire department is maybe next year through the fire prevention program, hit the young kids at the elementary school, they'll badger their parents to do it, just like they're gonna change their batteries in the smoke detectors this weekend. That's how we get that stuff done, so that might be another target audience we can hit. And if we pick enough of these audiences, these groups, all of a sudden we'll start seeing numbers show up. Using what Dave said, the library, it's a great opportunity.
Oh, maybe we could have some of the kids in town do a community service project. People could sign up to have their homes numbered, and the kids from the school could do it.
Great idea.
Dave?
Just a little bit of input. Just so you know that there's not a permit that doesn't go in my office that doesn't get put to bed without the number being assigned. So I make sure on my last inspection I don't sign off on the project until the numbers are visible. The problem that we have here in Monmouth is people who get rural delivery have mailboxes and they put their numbers up and no problem. We have summer residents, 2,000 camps, that the rescue call goes on during the summer. The numbers are on the camp, but that's a half a mile from the road. So the number for the camp would have to be located at the end or some visible place out on the road, not just at the end of the driveway. Because they still wouldn't be able to find it because the driveways are winding into where the house is, and there's the number sitting on the house. You'd never know that was it. You're going down every driveway, and I'm sure the rescue knows they have to go down the driveway, back out, go down the driveway, back until they find the right one. So there's got to be worked on a little bit, but I try to put them where the houses are set so far back from the road. I try to put them, paint a rock out in the front or on a tree or something where it's visible what the house number is, and then it's right there on the front door anyway.
Thank you. Next thing is to schedule a workshop for budget priorities.
Mr. Chairman, I think this was requested item, but I'm not sure when the board wants to do this, but I would prefer to do this towards the end of the month if we're going to do it this month. Only because we're collecting information, but this is only 4 months into the fiscal year. So I don't want us to jumpstart the whole process. I know we want to get a glimpse of next year, and they said just superintendent's going to come visit me on the 15th of the appointment today to talk about school financing and the GPA. There's a variety of information we'll collect this month on, for example, like our health insurance, which is always a problem. Hopefully it won't be this year, but we won't know for a couple of weeks. So if we can schedule this workshop, maybe it's, we have 3 meetings this month, you know, this week and middle of the month and the 30th. So maybe we could schedule this as a workshop at the end of the 30th. It would give us time to collect information, not be so early. Get now it's a little bit early. But if that would work, you know, then we'd have time for a heads up and kind of, you'd have time to give me ideas of what kinds of budget things you'd like to discuss, and I could, we could plan it, but I don't think we'd take a whole evening anyway. So we do it as a workshop after a regular meeting. I think we could fit on the 30th if that was the plan.
I don't know.
Is that what you're thinking, the 30th?
We'll do the 30th, we could keep the meeting relatively short, like this at least, and then take a 5
Yeah,
minute
let's look
recess.
at it.
We do budgets last year, worked real well with budget meetings. When we had less meetings, actually, we just had short meetings and then just did a workshop afterwards. That worked pretty well for people. I
Yeah,
think.
let's have fewer agenda items.
Yeah,
So we
just
can
keep
have
it
a
short
little
on the 30th and work it into a workshop that way. Save some more night out. You know.
Okay. Next is warrant number 10.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll read you the list of items over 1,000. It's a lot of money this week. There's only a couple of items that make it up that way, but the list is DNS Paving and Construction Company, $1,450. That's for paving that public works garage apron, is it?
Yeah.
The CMP, $1,140. That's for all the town accounts, including street lights and these that don't work. CRPC Group, $1,541, that's for shingles at the transfer station, that's a lot of shingles, right? Crapbox Corporation, $102,688, that's basically 2 payments, because they forgot to submit, architect forgot to submit the previous 2 weeks' payment to us. They must be happy about that. Doug Richmond Architect, $2,088, that's for the architect at the Grange project. We get reimbursed for this, $102,000 and the $2,000. Fleet Truck Refrigeration, $1,599, that's for work on F-550, that's the 2002. Frost and Son Construction, $12,540, that's for 2,090 cubic yards of sand at $6 a yard. International Salt Company, $13,003, that's for 194 tons of salt. Must be winter coming up. The main equalization, $1,300, that's for the assessing agent. Marshall Grinding Inc., that's $8,304, that's for that big pile of wood, remember, at the transfer station. It's gone now. And that's taken to an incinerator, is it?
Yeah.
Do you know what, is that in J?
Livermore.
Livermore, okay. National Financial Services, $1,331, that's for employee and employer retirement. Northeast Energy Emergency Apparatus, $1,188, that's for training supplies, Andre, is that?
It's to go with the cash training for this weekend, it's nozzles and foam and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Regional School Unit Number 2, $273,269, that's the monthly payment for the school system. RTA Inc., $2,150, that's for 8 trips, 6 to the incinerator in Auburn and 2 to the recycling plant in Portland. Treasurer State of Maine, $12,466, that's for fishing, hunting, registration, sales tax, plumbing, weapons permits, DUG licenses, all state fees, and we collect from them. And Kennebec County Treasurer, $353,288, that's for the county tax, annual county tax.
What sales tax do we collect?
We collect sales tax from the state of Maine. If you buy a car, we can pay sales taxes here, we collect it, and we
Oh,
send it to the state.
So people don't always pay that at the dealership?
No, you don't have to.
At the dealership, you have
Yeah, if
to
it's a
buy it
dealership.
at private sale.
Oh, private sale, I got you.
Yeah, there's quite a few dollars. Thank you.
Move we pay the warrant,
Those in favor?
move we adjourn.
Those in favor?
Thank you.
You don't need one of them, so you will be home. Somebody, 1:30 tomorrow?